What's up, Ada Gang? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm super fired up here as a part of today's live stream. We're diving into the first ever glimpse of Doom running on Hydra. If you guys have missed it, there's $100,000 worth of USDM in a prize pool going out for the first ever multiplayer version of this tournament. Now, without any further ado, I'll be joined by Trim Brusette, the project manager, or the product manager, I should say, for Doom, or excuse me, for Hydra, which will be actually running Doom for this upcoming tournament. So without any further ado, let me bring him up here. Trim, welcome up. How are you, man?
Hey, nice to be back. Fairly soon. I really appreciate you, taking the time to help out with this. It's such a cool project, and unfortunately, we don't have enough time. I would have loved to have a little bit more time for this custom map stuff, but it's a really good one. I'm very happy to be back, and to be able to walk people through how to do this thing.
Yeah, no, before we dive into any of that, I do want to take a brief opportunity just to say thank you and hello to everybody who's tuned in here. We've got Top Gun rolling in, RNG Crypto. I mentioned this earlier. I've got that LQ, or that liquid interview, coming. Thank you for tuning in. We've got Ridwan. Thank you for joining us. We've also got 50 pesos. We've got so many people joining in here, man. Didi, thank you as well. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them for Trim. He is in the chat. So he's actually here right there with his matching green glasses. If you guys have any questions about how to join the tournament, which is completely free, right? So I think maybe we sort of start with some of the ground rules there, Trim. I think it'd be good to sort of recap everything that we've discussed in our prior video. We've also got, let's see, Eric, huge supporter here of the channel. I do appreciate you, as we're starting to see Bitcoin knocking on the door of $100,000. Cardano now at 97 cents. Dominic Shepard, Nico, Brody, Bobby's Bits. I mean, so many people joining in here. I definitely do appreciate it. PC, the list goes on and on and on. Now, the viewers, please, guys, if you can, I just want to make one minor request. Number one, smash that thumbs up here on the video. It should be right below, right next to the description. Number two, please share this out if you can. This is how we are able to grow the Cardano community and how I'm able to sustain myself as a creator. And then number three, please engage. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. We'll make sure to go ahead and accommodate and basically try to do as much information providing as we can here. And then one additional request, if you all could, we have Trim's official Twitter link down below. Give him a follow. IOG's Twitter is also down there. And then everything that you need to go ahead in order to participate or create custom assets for the upcoming Doom tournament is listed down below as a part of that video description. All right, we've got Thug Nasty here in the house. Thank you, Thug. I always appreciate you. Let's see, we've got RJ, and then we've got Jacob. So again, just want to say thank you. We will take questions here in just a moment. So I'll be monitoring that. Hold on, I can't forget this guy, Clover Nose. What's up, man? What's up? So he's here from the World Mobile community. It's actually funny because typically, Trim, we're doing the live streams and you're joining in and interacting. Now he's on the other end, but it is good to see him here. All right, maybe just sort of get us going here. I've got a brief video, but Trim, can you break down what we're expecting over the course of the coming months when it comes to Doom on Hydra?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're not familiar, why would you be tuning into this stream? We have got Doom running on Hydra. We did that for Rare Evo. It was a really fun demo that showcased, Hydra's capabilities. Basically, it's a tech demo that we did for Rare Evo. At Rare Evo, we only did a single player mode, which is what you're seeing there. With the free or shareware version of Doom 1. This time we are really, upping the ante and doing something a little bit, I would say maybe a little bit more impressive. So we got multiplayer working, and to show that off, we're doing a tournament. Now the tournament is really just like, a fun little wrapper for what we're doing underneath, which is, limit testing Hydra. So it's not often that you get to limit test technology, live on mainnet with real people interacting in this way. But this is such a cool opportunity. So even if you're not, a huge gamer or really interested in Doom, or don't think you can have a shot at winning the prizes, That's fine. If you just want to, help us push Hydra, that would be ideal. Just tune in. There's absolutely no barrier of entry. You don't even need to have a wallet. It's just visit a website when the time comes, and you can, help us see how far we can push it. So the sort of overall structure of it, we're going to have a limited time window on the December the 3rd. That's when we're going to do a qualifier. So you're going to be playing versus bots. This is the reason for the limited time window. We're just going to have around 2 hours, is to try and get as many people playing at the same time as possible, because that way we can really see sort of, because if you have too much time, people will sort of tune in every now and again, and even though we service a bunch of people, we don't see the sort of ultimate throughput that we can. But by tightening this window a little bit, hopefully we can get more people playing at the same time and see sort of, okay, what is the actual capacity of this thing. What you're showing there. Before we jump into things, if you want more info about stuff, a notification when it starts, go to doom.hydra.family, and you can sign up for an email notification when more information becomes available, and a notification the day of. So in addition to the actual sort of tournament aspect, the original Doom maps, they didn't really work that well with deathmatch, with multiplayer. They're not really intended for that. It's kind of a story that you're passing through. So what we did is we're putting together a custom map, and that's what this stream is really all about. We put together something that is a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more sort of intentionally created for deathmatch playing. And we're opening up for the ecosystem, the whole Cardano community, to participate and literally put themselves on the map for this. And the stream is just intended to explain a little bit how you can do this, like how practically, how do you actually go from not knowing how to do any Doom hacking to submitting this thing for the map. Do you want to jump straight into it, or do you want to maybe cover a couple of other things?
Other than the price of ADA continuing to pump, I think we're good, man. No, I'm literally just going to be driving backstage for today's stream, Trim. You're obviously the subject matter expert here. I'll just be providing support. So there's, I think, a lot of really great content, which actually I want to take the opportunity to maybe just quickly highlight that, if I may. So let me just quickly plug this in. I'm going to drop the links to this. DD, huge supporter here. The channel was actually asked, and I should have done this before, but I'm going to leave the link to one video where this was actually done. I'm just going to post it there. That's one video. And then let me get this other video here for the viewers. And I'm actually going to pull this up here. Bear with me. So we've got Pi from the Sunday Swap team. And I'm going to just share this. And boom, there we go. So there we go. So there is a full 30-minute video. The sound is currently off. But this is basically Pi, right, from Sunday Swap, myself and Trim, breaking down everything about Doom and Hydra. And so please, guys, take a second to sort of dive into this, understand, and sort of catch up, because I think what we're going to be discussing today will be building off of some of these fundamentals. Now, Trim, I think one thing that you did extremely well, and hold on, let me make sure I've got some background noise here. Okay, there we go. I do apologize for that. One thing that you did extremely well in the chats that I've just linked is break down how Hydra works, right? So I think it'd just be good, first and foremost, before we dive into sort of the technicals here, for you to maybe reiterate what is Hydra, what is a stake channel, for anybody who doesn't understand the tech. Because while playing Doom, I think, is really awesome, I think that one key piece here is that this is an opportunity for us to show how scalable Cardano can actually become. So I think a brief review of Hydra would be perfect. And then again, the show's all yours to dive into Doom and giving us that sort of sneak peek here that we're all highly anticipating.
Yeah, for sure. So Hydra, it's a layer 2 scaling solution for Cardano. There's a couple of them that are coming up, like Midgard that you may have heard of, and ZK Fold is creating a zero knowledge rollup as well. So Midgard being an optimistic rollup. Hydra is a different type of scaling solution. So it's not a rollup, it's what's called a state channel. State channels, if you're not familiar, it's kind of hard to explain these things, because it depends on what your background is, right? But if you are familiar with the Bitcoin network, typically when you're interacting with Bitcoin, you're using the Lightning Network because it's faster, it's cheaper. So what you have is a bunch of state channels, and they enable you to send things that aren't actually processed on the main network right away, but at some regular intervals, these state channels are closed down, and you actually settle sort of the where the different Bitcoins are supposed to go. So Hydra is like the Lightning Network, but with smart contracts, because it's isomorphic to Cardano, which means that you can do exactly the same things inside a Hydra head as you can do on the mainnet. So the same types of transactions, the same smart contracts, all of this stuff. Now, if you're not that familiar with state channels, for example, if you're coming from the EVM side more than the UTXO side, typically you'll have more experience with rollups. So the likes of Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, these kinds of layer twos to Ethereum, for example. From this perspective, a state channel or Hydra is a little bit like a rollup, but intended to be temporary instead of sort of persistent and permanent. So it's something that you open up, you do a bunch of stuff, and then you close it back down. And then, it's not left open forever, so you don't have to sort of maintain it. This has a bunch of advantages, actually, compared to rollups, because rollups, when you first spin them up, there are certain things you can't really do with that. For example, you can't bring the transaction fees all the way down to zero, because then you open up for DDoS attacks. Whereas with Hydra, you can essentially have like private heads, you can do a bunch of different things, and you can set the fees to be virtually zero or actually zero. And the effect isn't that horrible, because it's only meant to be temporary. So you can do a bunch of things with absolutely zero fees, and then you can close it down after the fact. So what we did with Doom, for example, it's a technology demonstration of Hydra that shows just how capable it is, how performant it is in action. So the sort of Doom angle, the gaming angle, isn't the main focus. It's the reason that we know.
Uh-oh, looks like there might be some technical issues there on Trim's end. Let me know if you guys are able to hear and see me. Let me try to get Trim back up here.
Huh.
All right, Trim, looks like we lost you very briefly, so I just jumped in there.
Yeah.
But you were talking about the product demo, so feel free to go right back ahead, man. Pick back up.
Yeah. Sorry, it was just like suddenly didn't even touch anything, but no matter. Yeah. So the sort of gaming part of Doom is kind of for fun, but also one of the reasons that we chose that is because Hydra is a lot more performant than most blockchain solutions that you're familiar with. So some of the features that you have with Hydra is, once a transaction is signed and viewed by all of the node operators, it's instantly final. And depending on how many node operators you have, you can get a very, very high throughput. So there's no blocks. It's just transactions streaming in and getting validated. So what we did is, you're running Doom in browser when you're playing Hydra Doom, and every frame of the game, so every time the game state transitions from state A to state B, it doesn't even matter if you move. Like, the game is progressing at a steady rate of 35 frames per second, and every frame you submit a smart contract transaction into Hydra, and it's even more performant than that. So that's 35 transactions per second per player. But we've done some benchmark testing and doing a bunch of experimental stuff with this project, and we've seen a significantly higher throughput. So you can have multiple players playing in a single head in parallel. So the question was, well, if they can play in parallel inside of this head, can they play against each other, with each other? Can we enable multiplayer? And that's what we've been trying to, working to get done for this tournament. And we have it working. So to attract basically players so that we can both, showcase the multiplayer, but also demo or check, okay, what happens when we test it at scale? we're putting 100,000 USDM. So it's a fiat-backed stable coin on Cardano, so it's effectively $100,000 as prize money or a prize pool for this tournament. And it's, again, no entry or barrier to entry at all. You don't even need to have a wallet when you first play it. You will need to have a wallet at the end if you actually receive, the prize, because it's all going to be settled on chain after the fact. So since the game is run inside of a Hydra head, the game state, the winners, is actually immediately known, right? So when you close down the Hydra head, you can distribute the funds based on the results from the game right away. Whereas usually if you play, competitive gaming, you may get like a big check or something on stage, these like cardboard things that they give out. But the actual transfer of money usually takes a while, like, sometimes a couple of weeks. Whereas in this case, since, the game data is known on the same layer that, the actual financial assets are kept, you can do this sort of automatically with smart contracts. So it's a pretty cool demo in multiple respects, both, the throughput and capacity of Hydra, and also how smooth it runs right while they're actually playing. But also the fact that you can do something interesting and valuable with the results of this, like settling the prize money on chain right away.
Nice summarization there, Trim. Again, I think it's really important to understand why this is even happening in the first place. So hopefully that's given the viewers here a lot of context. We're just about to jump into the best part here, which is the actual preview and the sneak peek of how to create custom assets and submit them ahead of the actual tournament going live here in just a couple of weeks. So that said, again, if you're watching, just tuning in here for the first time, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. It really does make a difference here. Second, if you want more content, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those in the live chat. We're going to actually go ahead and take, I think, one really good comment that's come out here, which I want to post to you, Trim. So this is coming in here from Bobby's Bits, longtime supporter here of the channel. Bobby, I definitely do appreciate it. Stating, Trim, do you see potential for adding any robust multiplayer framework competition logic, such as cheating or some of these like cheat prevention mechanisms, right, ahead of the actual tournament? So I know it's sort of a wordy question there, but what's being done to make sure that people are not taking advantage or cheating during the actual tournament?
So the use of smart contracts to validate the game state transitions is a pretty useful feature for high assurance gaming, basically, and anti-cheat. So for competitive gaming, there's a bunch of different ways of doing competitive gaming. You have the likes of esports, Counter-Strike and League of Legends, for example, being huge sort of avenues for esports. But you also have more sort of solitary experiences like speedrunning, which is one of my sort of favorite competitive gaming genres. And in speedrunning, there's a bunch of different ways that players try to cheat. But having something like this, which is effectively an input recording in real time and validating, the game state transitions, it's a way to filter out quite a few of the most common speedrunning tactics to where people try to cheat in speedrunning. So a very common way that people try to get on the world record board is by what they call splicing runs, where since the proof required is just a video capture, sometimes like manually like filming the screen of someone playing. What they often do is they do multiple takes, and then they just like clip together the videos from different takes to like have their best run all put together, and then they spoof the end screen or something, and it looks kind of legit. There are ways to try and mitigate this. You can do different types of analysis on the actual footage, but this type of input capture and game state validation would go a long way towards preventing some of these most common. Nothing is going to be completely hack proof, right? There's like, even with all of this, sort of Hydra enabled things, you could still have like a robot literally playing, right? Like have something that is producing the inputs that are valid, but superhuman, which you would have to catch in a different way. But with this type of setup that we have with Hydra Doom, you could also walk through the entire input the history of the inputs, right? So if something is like, if you're doing 15 frame perfect inputs in a row, that's not humanly possible. But if you have the actual input capture through something like this, you can actually go back and look at that. It does require a bunch of integrations and everything, but there's definitely some overlap with gaming. But I also want to stress, and this is, I kind of knew this going in, that a lot of the focus, because Doom is a game, is going to be on Hydra and gaming. Hydra can do so much more. It's not really a gaming specific solution. It's not super tailored to gaming even. But it is really useful for a lot of other things, especially business to business applications, peer to peer applications, and like these types of domains. But we're not here to talk about that. We're really here to sort of walk through the tournament and the custom map a little bit.
Yeah, no, I just want to just quickly say for the viewers, keep the questions coming in here. Metal Gear asking what game engine are they using? Is it some sort of custom game engine? And then another question from Yorn, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's asking if we have the ability to actually use a controller. So Trim, I don't want to derail us too much because I want to dive into sort of the core focus for today's content, but can you maybe just give us a quick response on, can we use controllers and sort of the gaming engine setup?
Yeah, so the game engine, that's a good question, because there are a lot of Doom game engines. One of, a very sort of fun pastime is source porting Doom, which is re-implementing the engine in different ways. So we went basic. We went sort of back to the roots, make it as close to as possible to the original experience. So what we're doing is we're using Chocolate Doom, which is a game engine, and there is a WASM sort of compiler or compilation of Chocolate Doom that we're able to run in the browser. So there are other few, sort of more modern engines for Doom, like GZ Doom, for example, that allows you to jump. It allows you to look up and down and do some other things. We're not using those. We're using Chocolate Doom, which is sort of the closest to vanilla Doom, right? The OG.
Perfect. All right.
Regarding the controller, it's intended for I'm not sure if controller would really work that well, but it's intended for WASD and mouse. But if you can like key map something onto your controller, I'm sure that you could get it working.
All right, perfect. I think that's enough of the questions for now. Let's jump into the actual custom assets and what we can see, right? This is, I think, my favorite part here. Again, I'm just going to roll this quick video as you're getting things set up. But Trim, feel free to go ahead and share your screen. And once you do share your screen, I'll make sure to get you pulled up here. I'm excited for this. And I know I mentioned this yesterday, but I'm going to be participating. So if you're watching this live and you will be participating, just leave a comment down in the chat. I look forward to seeing some of you guys there on the battlefield. I won't be taking it easy, man. I'm not sparing anybody, so I'm trying to cash in on some of this USDM here. And hopefully this is just the first of potentially, right, many tournaments in the future. I know that, as you mentioned, this is sort of a demo to show the tech, but I think that there could definitely be a community that just sort of grows and takes this over. Looking here, I mean, seeing the Midnight logo, seeing the, input or the IOG logo, I'm just like, this is extremely impressive. So for anybody that wants to build out their own custom assets, what Trim's about to walk us through is how they can actually go ahead and do that. And hopefully we can get a sneak peek of what you guys have already built and what we can expect, of course, for the multiplayer. So without any further ado, Trim, I'm pulling up your screen. Here we go.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, you already kind of saw a little bit of a sneak peek there in the video. There's a couple of things from the custom map. There's a little bit from the default map.
And if you don't mind, Trim, I apologize to cut you off. Do you mind maybe just punching in just a little bit to zoom in, just so we can see a little bit more of the text as you're going through?
Yeah,
there we go. Perfect. Thank you very much.
So yeah, this is just like to reference where you can find things. So all of the links should be in the description. If not, I'm sure Farid can put it in the comments. But we have a Doom map asset submission guideline. This is effectively what I'm going to be walking through, but just like showing the steps instead of just having the screenshots. All the relevant links and everything should be in there, except the submission email. So I'm sure we can link that below as well. But in general, this thing, it walks you through step by step. So if if you're not able to follow all the steps that I'm doing here, this is a little bit more detailed. And I'm going to be trying to follow, somewhat of a similar path to what this thing has. So this walks you through how to, which programs you need to download and how to set everything up. A couple of, style guides and submission rules. There's nothing super unexpected here. Like no doxing, threatening, any sort of direct unpleasant stuff. Well, Doom is a violent game for sure, but it should be reasonably common sense stuff. As well as, of course, no sort of endorsement. So no like buy token X or whatever. So the prerequisites include the Chocolate Doom game engine and a couple of bespoke files. And then there's a couple of editors that you probably will need. Slade 3 is one of them. It's a kind of ancient tech at this point. You'll see the interface in just a bit, but it's a good tool to edit Doom stuff. It just you need to sort of use it once to sort of figure out how it works. Now, as I mentioned, the original Doom map isn't super suited for multiplayer. So what we did is we found a other base resource called Free Doom, which is a much more permissive licensed version of Doom. So you'll need that as well. Now, let me zoom in a little bit. You probably don't need to read anything that's on screen. I'm just like going broadly over what's going on here. So if you click any of the links here, you will find, among other things, this page, which is Cardano.scaling Hydra Doom. And it has a little guide for how to download Chocolate Doom, which is the game engine, deathmatch_iog.wad, iogassets.wad, and freedoom2.wad. And also the command that you need to execute to merge all of these and like be able to play it. So what I'll do is I'll show you how this works. So what I've done, I've basically just done exactly what this thing says. I've downloaded the assets by just literally clicking the links. I put all of them into a folder, and I downloaded Chocolate Doom and just extracted it. You'll get a zip file when you download it. So that's everything I've done here. And I made two little I prepared a couple of assets for later. So what you'll want to do is take freedoom2, deathmatch_iog, and IOG assets, and move all of those into the Chocolate Doom folder. Inside the Chocolate Doom folder, you can open your terminal and you can input the command. Let's see if I can get this a little bit bigger. So the command is also, you don't have to take notes necessarily. The command is also, shown here, so you can just copy that. I have it prepared. So when I hit this, it should start. So this is the current, the base asset. So this is what we're going to be replacing everything of, right? So anything you see in here that looks a little bit corny, a little bit, weird, don't worry at all. You can replace all of this stuff, right? Like we just had to put something in there that isn't just Freedoom 2.
Is that a rubber duck in the corner? A yellow rubber duck?
Yep. So hang on. That is a little rubber ducky. We have a couple more actually, because now we're in the stake pool area.
Uh-huh. And then hold on. Whose Blackhawk is that up there?
So let's see. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. Anywho, I'm gonna step out of the way there. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow there. I just had to say,
stay on. You can ask away as we walk through this map.
Yeah, this is extremely awesome to see. Trim, I do have a quick question here. This is coming in from Didi, asking about stats, right, for the heads. So can you break down like what are you guys doing to monitor things as people are actually playing in real time. I know that looking back at sort of the first iteration, you guys actually had like these menus on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the screen, and it would
Yeah.
show like your TPS and then the global TPS. What are the plans moving forward now?
Yeah, so we'll do basically the same, but a little bit better. And we're going to hopefully visualize it a little bit better as well. So we're going to collect all of the same things, the TPS over time, the total amount of transactions processed, the number of people playing, the number of kills, everything that we tracked last time as well. And we're going to, aggregate all of this so that you can see sort of how all of the Hydra heads in aggregate work throughout the tournament. So if we get a bunch of people playing at the same time, we will see a very high throughput, and that's really what the whole limit testing is about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through the comments, and everybody's fired up, giving you guys a lot of kudos here. Just to quickly reiterate here for Pro Lucker 23, he's asking if this is currently available right now. Can you just again
go ahead? It's I think you linked the GitHub. Run it yourself. We're building in the open. Everything's open source. You can download this today, right, and test it out.
This is a question for me now. So just to make sure I understand, right, because you've loaded up this particular sort of like arena. Is everybody contributing to like the same map right now? So like if I were to come in and create my own custom assets, would it show up here like on this map and for everybody else that downloads this in the future, or is this like only on my local instance or something like that? And also like, are you guys actually approving the custom assets that people submit? Because I saw Thug Nasty asking about adding some snack content and stuff like that. Can you break down, who's reviewing this and that kind of process?
Yeah, no, great questions. So when you download this stuff and you run it locally and you change it locally, you're the only one that sees the changes that you made to this. Then you need to submit it to us. We will put it into the official map, and then we will update the thing that's on the GitHub so that you can download. So that will sort of change over time as we get closer to the tournament. So we will include things as we go. An important thing to note, because of licensing stuff, right? We don't want to risk anything at all. So make sure that you are the owner of whatever IP you're submitting. And we have a little licensing thing that you need to sign as well. So if you don't sign that, if you don't own the IP, we're not going to be able to include it into the official map. So just a little word of warning there. It's not because we want to be square, but it's, if we put if someone puts Shrek in there or something, I don't want to have like DreamWorks or something come after us, right? So that's one restriction. But yes, a very good question.
One quick question, and then what I would love, Trim, is if we could just get a quick tour of what's already been built.
Yes,
but this is coming in from AC. Can we run this on Windows or Linux? Or both?
You can run it on whatever you're able to run Chocolate Doom on. So Chocolate Doom runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac.
All right, perfect. All right, back over to you, Trim. If you can just give us a demo of what you guys have already built. I saw a little bit of this before, but I think that this is super impressive. And again, kudos to all the people that have contributed to this so far.
So there's a bunch of things that are going to look super weird right now, right? So for example, these things, we are not going to be marketing IOG over this entire thing. This is just like, we created this as an example of this is where your logo might go, right? So that if you walk around the map and like, where should I put my stuff? It's like, here's the spot, right? That's why we have all of these things around the place. It's not because, we're putting IOG everywhere. This is just because, it's our logo and we wanted to showcase that this is a spot that's available.
And I'm just noticing, right? Looking at the bottom there, I see a guy who kind of looks like you with some green glasses going on, man. Is that customizable too?
Yes, it is. That I wasn't the one that made that. The default guy in Free Doom 2.wad is a little bit different than the regular Doom guys. We just like, okay, we kind of need to change him. And they just like made him grayscale and put like some green glasses on. So I don't know. It's we've been a little team that's been messing around with this internally, and it was a surprise for me as well.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice touch. Okay, I'm done interrupting. I'll let you go ahead and actually finish showing off the map here and then talking about how we can build some of these assets.
Yeah, perfect. So we have a bunch of areas. You can see the sky is a little bit custom. We have some custom walls in here as well, like Hell Mobile instead of World Mobile. We have a little area here where there's a Hydra over there, and it tries to hide if you're going too close to it. We have a bunch of, like, if you haven't modded Doom before, you can replace almost anything you see in the game, like literally anything. Like the little item here that you see on the pedestal, you can replace that. This is a power up, so it gives you this sort of rage power. Now you can see as I'm punching, you can actually replace the fists, right? Like I think Sunday Labs might be doing that at some point. So, double check if it's taken or not. But you can see it's just a couple of, I think it's 4 animation frames, and you can take those out. I'll show you how later. And you can redraw them so that you could change whatever it is that he has in his hand. We have some computers. Let's say Hydra at the moment. A little area here. All of these health pickups, for example, they have a little animation, so it's similar to how the fists work. You can replace all of the animation frames, and you could take one of the items. There's a bunch of these, logo placement opportunities around the map. We have a little. It's not Nike. I'll show you why in a minute. But it's kind of close to Nike. He gives the same vibes as a little pig, and he gives you a very big health boost when you pick him up. For those of you who are familiar with first-person shooters, you may recognize some of these. There's a bunch of references in the game. So this area, for example, might look a little bit familiar. Same thing with the last one that had the little pool area. There's a couple of hidden sections here. They're not super well hidden, but you can pick up the chainsaw. And we have a little power up over there, which this is actually pretty cool because let me see if I can get this. So when you pick this up, I forgot to merge the D lump, I think. But when you pick that up, normally it says hidden by midnight because you can replace the little text that goes up in the corner.
That's awesome. Sherm, if I could just briefly interject here, thinking about the actual tournament that's going to be coming up, I think a lot of people are super interested and fired up in the comments here. So I'm sure they'll be participating. But for the actual, after we go through the sort of initial round, right, where we've narrowed down the scope of who is actually going to be playing for a portion of that $100,000 prize pool, how many people can we expect in a single match? And like, how do you guys plan on bracketing this entire thing? Is it one game? Is it a series of games? Is it, different heats or, groups? I'd love to maybe hear about a little bit more about the matchmaking process.
That's an excellent question. Ultimately, we'll know a little bit more detail once we get even closer. It's, we're really cutting towards the edge with all of the engineering and everything, but not everything is done, even though we're still a week and a half out. It may look like, because we just discovered that the Doom game engine is made to work with sort of older networking technology. And modern networking technology actually introduces some delays, and there's some technical details that are going on in the background. So it may be that during the qualifier, you're going to be playing against 2 bots. So it's you and 2 bots. It's actually not because of Hydra. Hydra is not the bottleneck there at all. You can, with considering the TPS that each player contributes, Hydra would be able to quite easily facilitate at least 6 players. But for these technical reasons, it seems like maybe during the qualifier we'll be probably playing 1 player versus 2 AI, and then after that, during the ranking round, it's probably going to be 1 player versus 1 player. So it's going to be sort of a dual. So yeah.
Cool deal.
But
Thank you for that. Sounds like head-to-head matchups. But yeah, go ahead, pick right back up, man.
yeah. No, so that's how the map. One second. Yeah, the minimap. This is how it kind of looks from the top.
So this is custom too, right? Because I've never seen this in the actual Doom game.
Oh yeah, you can open the minimap in Doom. So in this build, it's you hit tab and then you open the map. So that's the same as the original.
Got it. Yeah, looks amazing. Again, I feel like I'm sidetracking you here from actually getting to the asset creation portion, but a lot of really good comments and a lot of really interesting questions coming up. So I'm just trying to make a note of those, and I'll probably save a couple of them. That way, you can actually run through this and finish showing us how to create our own custom assets. Go ahead, Trim.
Yeah, for sure. So if you want to, well, when you want to make custom assets, there's a couple of things that I could recommend. One is Slade. That's the sort of go-to Doom modding tool. Another one, which is not immediately obvious if you haven't done this before, is I would recommend getting some sort of tool that allows you to edit the pixel art. So you can use MS Paint. You can use there's a bunch of free options. I'm using this Ace Sprite program that is incredibly useful for editing individual pixels and creating pixel art. Is really made for this. And you may have recognized this little fella. And one thing to note, it's in the guide, but it's towards the end. So I just want to highlight that before you run into something that I'll show in a second. The Doom game engine only has a limited color palette. So the color palette looks like this. And if you try to import something like a color wheel that has colors that are outside of the spectrum, it gets sort of mapped to the closest color in this palette. So it looks a little bit weird when you import things that have these sort of continuous types, colors or gradients or anything like that. It doesn't really fit. So just be aware of that. Like sometimes if you just import graphics and try to convert them right away, it looks super weird because the colors are mismatched compared to what you might think. So to show you an example of that, so this is Slade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up. I may skip a step or two to just like follow the guide if there's something that I happen to skip. But when you open Slade for the first time, you need to define the base resource. And the base resource in this case is freedoom2.wad, which you get to download from the GitHub repo. It's not the original Doom WAD. So it's just important to mention because they're technically entirely separate games. And if you modify the original Doom WAD stuff, it might not be able to run with the free Doom. So yeah, just make sure that you set the base resource as freedoom2.wad. Then you can open up Archive, and you can navigate to the folder that you have the different assets in, or you can probably what you want to do for normal submissions is you want to create a new archive. So you create a Doom WAD archive, and then you can just import files into this. I have one file here. It's the one that you saw earlier. So it's this one. Now, before you can save and submit this, there's one more step that you need to do, which is, I think you can only support PNG files. So just make sure that the files that you're trying to import are PNG. And then once you have it inside of Slade, you can right click and go to Graphic, Convert to. This little menu comes up and it converts to Doom GFX. And here you can see the differences. Let me see, is it possible to zoom in? I don't think it is. But you can see the differences in colors here. So you have this bluish tint background on the left side that turns kind of purple on the right side. And then, all of the other colors are also a little bit different. So just be aware of this, that the color distortion that from the palette is going to happen. You click convert. Now that it's converted to the right thing, you can just click save. And then you can name your WAD. So I'm calling this Hosky Dude. And then you go into the folder. So now I have hoskydude.wad. That's the thing that you submit. So that's the thing that you attach to the email along with the signed license agreement that's going to be submitted online. But make sure that you have the license in place, and then you can submit stuff just with the WAD through the email that should be linked below. I believe it's. No, I'm not going to speculate. So that is literally how simple it is. It's not a big deal to just like put a thing into a map. Now, there are ways to be a little bit more, involved. So, for example, if you want to do stuff that that is animating, then you need to submit, all of the different animation frames. If you want to do monster, it's typically you have to not only have animation frames, during the walk cycle. But there's a paint cycle. You have to render it from 8 different angles. It's a little bit more work to get like a monster in there, but it is possible, and we will accept it if, as long as it follows the rules and everything, and you submit it. That's pretty much it. And then, same with weapons. It's essentially the same as the monsters and everything. It's just like a couple of frames. And the guide goes through how to add those. There's a couple of items as well that have, these like little animations, like you saw the midnight thing was sort of rotating. The little Nike, his snout was like moving around. So yeah, I can
Quick
show
question
you.
for you. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, can we see this in the actual game?
Yes, you can. What I'll do is I'll take the existing IOG assets, because it's easier for me to merge that than it is to like add another thing. So I'll take the existing IOG assets, which is probably what we will do sort of in the back end. And I will take one of these things. I don't know. Maybe I'll put myself on the moon. So what I'll do in this case, and if you want to replace, like if you want to modify one of the existing free Doom assets instead of creating a new one, you can find the asset that you want. For example, the skybox in this case. You can, let's see, export. No, it's here it is. So this is a little bit confusing in Slate, so it's good that I covered this. Export will give you the wrong format, so you'll go to graphic, export as PNG, and then I'll put it into the Doom stuff. I'll leave the name as is, and then I'll save it. Now I can go over into here. I'll just copy that. Open up Newski 3. And then I'll paste in this thing. Actually, let me be a little bit more clever. Let's see if I can add a layer. Yes, I can.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, kind of inverted the black, but no matter. All right, so now I'm on the moon. I'll save this PNG. Let's see, it should store that. Now I can import Newski 3. There it is. And now remember, I need to convert the thing. So I go to graphic, convert to the Doom GFX, convert. Then I click save. It's a little bit cumbersome. Like, modern tools are usually a little bit smoother than this, but it's I don't know, it's kind of fun. So now I can go into this and I can reopen the game, and let's see if it has taken effect. Let's see if we can spot the moon somewhere. there it is.
Nice. That is so cool to see, literally happening live in person. We got Didi asking what hardware you're actually running. I would assume that running Chocolate Doom and all of these things here shouldn't be too resource intensive, right?
No, it's not. Like it is really not. The hardware that I'm running is pretty decent. I mean, the intention when I got this computer was that because I was a data scientist at a time, and I was asked to go into some machine learning development stuff. So I got a 3090, and I believe it's an i9 or something. It's a pretty beefy computer still, even though it's like 5 years old at this point. So yeah, my hardware like way outpace what you need. Like you can do this on a laptop. You can do this probably on a Raspberry Pi.
And I do have a follow-up here because I think that this is important for people to know. How big of a factor does internet connection play in the actual tournament, right?
That is an excellent question because that is quite important. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do if you have bad internet, right? Because when it's multiplayer, when you play against the bots, even like the bots are running server side, so you still need to connect to the server. So what we're going to have is similar to what we had during Rare Evo, where we have just a bunch of different regions, and you can select the one that's closest to you. And it's important that you actually select one that is close, because if you select one that's further away, you're going to have lag. The other players are probably going to have lag because you have it as well. So it's just, that's useful to pick one that is actually close to where you're at.
Yeah, and I think there's a brief bit here. Let me see if I can scrub through this right there.
Yes. Yeah.
That sort of demos that, right? So I think for everybody who's going to be tuning in, this is what Trim's referring to. Make sure that you pick a server or a, I guess, is it a Hydra head? Like what is actually in Ohio? What's in Frankfurt? What's in Melbourne?
Yeah. So keep in mind that this is a technology demonstration or limit test in the tournament case, right? So this is not how you would really go about using Hydra necessarily in applications. But this is, because we want to show off what it can do. But what we've done here is these are basically data centers. So we have, we've spun up the Hydra server on one of these data centers, all over the place. Typically, we'll spin up a bunch of Hydra servers in those different centers. And that's what you connect to. So you connect to the closest one to you, and then that's where you're submitting the transaction, and sort of you're interacting only with this Hydra head, basically.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Trim. As we get ready to wind down here, we've been going for about 53 minutes. So I think we'll probably wrap up at the top of the hour. No, this was super awesome. This was very informational for me. Anything else that you would like to share with the community so that they can be well prepared for the tournament, right? Like, can they do anything to start preparing, start getting some practice runs in? What's going to be available? What will not be tolerated? Are there any rules that you can maybe outline right now?
Yeah. So in terms of rules for the submission stuff, it's all in the doc. It's mostly common sense stuff, and same with the rules for participating as well. There are sanctioned regions in the world. Obviously, if you're trying to bypass that with a VPN, you're not going to be able to win any rewards, because for the rewards we do have to KYC. So it is what it is. We're sending a bunch of money, but for the finale you're going to be there in person anyway, and we have to buy your flight tickets. So it's like it's kind of it sort of follows itself in a way. So yeah, those are sort of the main rules, I would say. In terms of participation, again, there's no real requirements. You don't even need to have a wallet to play. So invite your friends, invite your family, invite your neighbor's dog, get everyone involved. I really want to have I want to see how far we can push this, and the only way we can push it is by people participating. There are going to be pretty decent gamers that are participating as well, but don't let that discourage you. There's opportunities for rewards for other people as well, even not just the finalists.
Yeah, very
how to get involved, how to enter. You don't have to pre-register at all, just show up the day of. The place where you show up is doom.hydra.family. It's the URL. At the moment, it's just like an email sign-up thing. But when the qualifier actually starts, we're going to replace that with the actual sort of gaming screen. We're going to send out a notification via email to the people that have signed up. And as a little reminder, like, okay, we're starting now. There you go. And that's going to be sort of the portal that you use to enter.
So hopefully that answers your question there, Lakeside. And for everybody else who's tuned in here, hopefully you guys have found today's live stream to be helpful. I think we've got a couple of more minutes left. We have about 5 minutes left. So if you guys have any questions about how to participate, join in, or create custom assets, now would be the time to ask Trim. I'm wondering if you can maybe just give us like one last sort of quick speed run through what you guys have already built. As we get ready to wind down here, again, I'll give the community just a couple of minutes to pose any final questions that they may have. But for anybody that missed it earlier, Trim actually gave us a very, very nice sort of quick run through of what they've already built so far in terms of custom assets. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys are going to be building out separate maps aside from what we've already seen, right? Is that correct? How many maps can we expect? How many maps can we expect for the actual tournament?
So it wasn't my original intention, but we have a guy in the team that he knows how to do Doom hacking. Basically, he loves that stuff. So he volunteered to help out with some things, and he went a little bit nuts and created, in addition to the deathmatch map, he was the one that created most of that. So kudos to him. I'm not sure if he wants to be doxxed or anything, so I'm not going to say his name, but he, in addition to the deathmatch map, he went a little bit overboard and he created at least 3 campaign maps as well that are going to be really tailored towards a co-op play style as well. It's insane. It's really fun. It's like kind of enter the blockchain type of thing. Like it's just for fun, right? So if you have something, for example, there are things that you can only submit one of, music, for example. There's a bunch of places where you can have music. During the actual game, during the end screen as well is a different theme. But those are really the only 2 that people are going to be exposed to. But with these campaign maps, there's going to be more opportunities as well to have those, as well as the menu theme when you enter the game initially. So and these it's a little Easter egg for the people that actually bother to play sort of outside of the tournament. Everything is sort of Cardano coded, right? To me, this is an opportunity to celebrate the ecosystem, to have a lot of fun, to sort of bring attention to the people that are making all of this possible, right? Like we're all here together to really make it. I see this as not just the battle arena that people are going to be competing on, but also really a celebration of the Cardano ecosystem.
Yeah, very nicely stated. Didi asking if you're going to be participating in the tournament.
I'm probably going to try it a little bit, but I'm as one of the entities involved in making this happen, I will be disqualified from getting anywhere near the finals. So I'm probably just going to try it out for fun a little bit. But yeah, I'm not going to be taking anyone's rewards or anything like that.
I'm not sure that I can say the same. Again, it's a free for all for me.
Yep.
If I see you on the arena, we're 1v1. It's I'm not stopping. I'm after that 100K. No, Trim, this has been an awesome experience. Again, I've left the links down below to our previous chat. This took place back at Rare Evo for anybody who missed it. Us diving into the details here. Want to give a huge shout out and thank you, right, to the Sunday Labs team. I know you also mentioned Sam Leathers. You've mentioned Adam Dean, all the biggest contributors here that have made this happen. So if anybody wants to find out more about the technical background, how this team was able to do this, the cost behind all of this, which is actually, I think, a really good question I want to pose to you, Trim, is how much does it actually cost to run a Hydra node or Hydra head, or one of these servers? Because I know that for the first instance, you guys ended up taking things down after a couple of days, right? Because of some of those infrastructure costs. So as a final question here, I'd love to maybe hear a little bit more about how much does this actually take to operate on a large scale as what we're about to see?
So that's a good question. It depends on how much power you want to put behind it, right? Like Hydra is quite unique insofar as if you scale up the hardware, you scale up the node, right? So you scale up the capacity of the state channel. For Rare Evo, we've used pretty beefy servers. And, this is not a commercial product. We're not making any money off of this. We're not selling anything. We're not asking for any, we're not doing tickets or anything like that, right? So it doesn't make sense for us to leave this open perpetually, because if people want to connect all over the world, we have to have servers all over the world, right? So it's but what I'm hoping to see, and I'm going to be trying to push after I'm done with the current tournament, is to see if maybe stake pool operators, for example, who have a bunch of the sort of infrastructure already in place, like they have a Cardano node that is already synced, already running. You can just connect the Hydra node to that, and sort of it offsets a lot of the sort of base costs, right, for hosting Hydra. And they can host a Hydra Doom instance, so people can like connect to their stake pool and play a little bit. I think that could be pretty fun. You don't have to, at the moment with the Rare Evo demo with a single player mode, you don't have to connect to a Cardano node, even because we're using Hydra in what's called offline mode. It's not super expensive to run. Like you can run this on a laptop, no problem. But yeah, like it's not a commercial product. It's like a tech demo, so that's why we're not leaving it open sort of perpetually.
Got it. I think that will do it here for today's video. Cannot close out though without highlighting this man here, who actually had the opportunity, right, to jump in and play. It's good to see him not necessarily in the spotlight talking and doing all the things that he's known for doing, but sort of showing a different side of himself, actually playing and contributing to what you've built here. So I know that you've built a relationship with him. Obviously, you're now, I think, a household name when it comes to the Cardano community, and for sure at IOG with what you've done, Trim. But just want to say thank you so much for joining me as a part of today's stream. Hopefully for the viewers, you guys have found this to be informational and helpful. Again, Trim's X is linked down below. Make sure to give him a follow. Follow the official IOG team if you're not already following them. Make sure to visit doom.hydra.family. Go ahead and register, subscribe for those email notifications, and hopefully, right, you'll be able to jump in there and make it past December 3rd. Trim, I look forward to potentially seeing you again on the battlefield. This has been an awesome experience, and look forward to just seeing you continue to grow here and finding your footing within the Cardano ecosystem. As we get ready to part out, Trim, anything else that you want to share before we wrap things down?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So yeah, sign up for the email notification, check out all of the links, everything is linked, how to submit the assets, and like do it. It's, as you saw, it's pretty easy. It's quite quick when you get going. There is one thing that I'm not going to show it, but I can I can warn you. If you have a like 4K or 8K resolution, super high res image of something intricate, and you just like try and scale it down, because like keep in mind these assets are like 128 by 128 pixels, most of them. Some of them are 25 by 25. So it's going to look super weird. And the reason why, I mentioned that this isn't really Nike, but it's close enough. I tried using the picture that I had of Nike and just scaling it down, and it looks absolutely horrible. So it's, be a little bit aware. That's why I recommended, this pixel art sort of software. It's much better to redraw stuff properly in the scale that it's supposed to be, rather than just scaling it down. I even tried this with the Hosky PFP that you saw. I tried scaling down the original, because it's like 3,000 something pixels each way. And when you scale it down, it looks super weird if you get it down to 25 pixels. It's not like, it looks pixelated, so you would think that it works, but it doesn't. It looks very, very strange. And then it gets color corrected, so the glasses turned orange and the background turned purple. It's like, it's super weird. So just a little word of warning. Like, it's much, much better if you can actually sort of redraw these things in very low res. But yeah, I'm looking so much forward to all of the submissions that we were hopefully getting from the ecosystem. And yeah, let's see how far we can push Hydra. That's what this thing is really all about, right? Like, let's hit some big numbers.
Yeah, no, thank you. Again, I want to just not only thank you, but thank the viewers here for tuning in and engaging, commenting, all of that good stuff. We've got Stay Winning, we've got Didi, David from Studio Malacca, Bobby's Bits, Wesley, right? Waza, welcome in, welcome in. I'm just trying to break out of my mold, man. Lakeside, so many people that showed up here to show support. I really can't thank everybody enough for doing so. And again, Trim, I think the entire community is behind you, and we're all super excited to, even if it's just watch the tournament, right? To just engage and be a part of this. This is such a pivotal time here for Cardano. Everything going on here. I was just actually on with another builder doing an interview just an hour ago. They were talking about three things, and I'm going to end off here on this particular note. Three things that, you know, have really helped Cardano as of late. Number one, of course, is the price action. I don't think that anybody needs, you know, any answer around that, but that is what it is. Number two is the visibility. We're now starting to see Cardano being integrated, you know, into more platforms reaching out to integrate into Cardano. And then the final and the missing piece in my eyes has been scaling. And so with this finally now ready to roll, I think Cardano is going to have everything that it needs to be successful. And so I know I said that this would be my last question. I have to ask one more thing, Trim. When can we expect to see Hydra on the mainnet? I know that you've mentioned that this tournament, I believe, will be taking place on the mainnet. So, you know, what does the mainnet timeline for Hydra look like as of right now?
So I think the first, actually, let me see if I have this. Is it in here? No, I put it somewhere else. Sorry. I bought this timeline thing that tracks everything that goes on Cardano over time. But the first Hydra on mainnet thing was summer of 22, I would like to say. Or was it 23? Anyway, a while ago. Like, Hydra's been usable on mainnet for a while. There's still a couple of caveats, like, you know, you shouldn't really use it for large amounts of assets or anything yet. There's still a couple of features that would be needed to really make it super secure. Yeah, thank you, 2023. So yeah, there's a couple of features that are very, very close to coming. You know, we're not at what we call version 1 yet, partially because version 1, the scope of version 1 increased, right? We in addition to the actual node and sort of all the security features and everything, people requested incremental commits and incremental decommits, so that while the head is open, you can like put stuff in while it's in operation, and you can pull stuff out without having to close it. So those features are going to be included in version 1, which is why it's taken a little bit longer than, you know, just a basic version. But yeah, it's been run on mainnet. This whole thing, the tournament, is going to run on mainnet. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty huge demo. We're going to spin up, I think, probably more Hydra heads than have ever been spun up, including all of the test nets for this. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
I'm excited to see, number one, the numbers, number two, the competition, but then finally being able to, I think, give people hard facts as to what Cardano can actually do. So as we get ready to close out here, we've got Joy's testimony. Shout out to you, Mr. Baggy Pants here. I want to say thank you for the pins that you sent over to me in Dubai. I definitely do appreciate that. Giving us a little bit of advice about how to actually scale down a little bit. And as you mentioned, putting stuff into Slate 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will bring us to a close. Shout out to Trim. Again, check out
one of these medallions that he made.
So
really,
awesome.
really cool.
Again, Baggy Pants, we definitely do appreciate all that you do here for the Cardano community. Ladies and gentlemen, that will do it here for today's stream, breaking down and giving you guys an exclusive sneak peek as to how to, number one, create assets for Doom running on Hydra, but then just seeing the layout of the upcoming tournament and what we can potentially expect in the course of the coming weeks. That said, and as always, if you guys enjoy content like this, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, collaborating and highlighting all the biggest builders here in the ecosystem, consider subscribing to the channel. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those down below. That said, and as always, we'll see you all in the next one. Cheers, everybody. Take care for now. Bye-bye.